Hi everyone, Miss Daly here. For today's math lesson, we will be doing Module 6, Lesson 5. Our I can statement is, I can create arrays from rows and columns and count to find the total using objects. There are some new words in this I can statement that we are going to go over now. All right. Our first word that we saw in our I can statement that's a little bit familiar to some is the word rows. What word? Rows. Rows are a part of an array that goes side to side. Rows will always go from side to side. Everybody show me. Side to side. Next, we have columns. Columns go up and down. Show me. Great, columns go up and down. Another way to think about columns are columns that you might see on some buildings. If you know what building this is, go ahead and say it. It is the White House. We studied the White House when we were learning about wit and wisdom for a little bit. Columns you can see here are really, really tall and they go up and down. So as we are learning about rows and columns, always remember columns go up and down, just like at the White House. All right, now I want us to practice distinguishing between rows and columns. Everyone show me how rows go. Good, side to side, and columns, up and down. Rows, columns. Another way I like to think about it too is in the word columns, there actually is a column. That letter L is straight up and down. That sometimes helps me remember it too. When I see the word columns, I know I need to be going up and down, just like that L. All right, rows, columns. The last word that was in our I can statement is the word array. What word? Array. Array is a set of objects that contain rows and columns. So here you can see rows and columns. They work together to create a rectangular array, just like you see here. Here's another example of an array. An array, remember, is a set of objects that have columns up and down and rows side to side. We're going to be working with rows and columns quite frequently for this next module and probably into 3rd and 4th grade. So be paying extra close attention throughout this lesson. Okay? I want to know how many bears are in each group. Show me on your hand how many bears are in each group. 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 bears in each group. How many groups? Show me on your hands. How many groups? 2. 1 group, 2 groups. That means I have 2 groups of 3. How many bears do I have all together? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or 3 plus 3, which equals 6. Good. I have 2 groups of 3 bears. This should be review from our last unit or our last topic. Before we took our topic quiz, we should know all about equal groups. Now we're learning something a little bit new. I want to change 2 groups of 3 bears to 2 rows of 3 bears. All right, show me on your arm which way rows go. Side to side. Rows always go from side to side. They always go from side to side. All right, I need 2 rows of 3 bears. The easiest way for me to do this is to split it up by rows. So I need 2 rows of 3. I'll make 1 row of 3 and 2 rows of 3. 2, 3. 1 row of 3 2 rows of 3. Okay, I went from 2 groups of 3 bears to 2 rows of 3 bears. Here's my first row, side to side. Here's my second row, side to side. Now I'm wondering, did my total change? Did the total number of bears in our first picture change from the total number of bears in my second? Yes or no? No, they didn't change. I have 3 plus 3 equals 6, and I have 3 plus 3, which equals 6. My total did not change. Now, I need to make 2 columns of 3 bears. Show me on your arms which way columns go. Good, they go up and down. Just like we did in our last problem, we separated it row by row. We're going to do the same thing with this problem. All right? I did 2 rows of 3. Now I need 2 columns of 3. I'm going to make my first column of 3. 1, 2, 3. Remember, columns go up and down. And my second column of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, I have 2 columns of 3 bears. There's my first column. There's my second column, up and down. Did my total change? No, I still have 6 bears here, 6 bears here. 2 groups of 3 bears and 2 columns of 3 bears. Think of this as just another way to organize a set of objects. All right, I still technically have 2 groups of 3 bears. They're just now organized into columns. All right, for this one, I want to challenge your thinking. I want to draw on this array. I want to organize it by columns and rows by drawing circles around them. So I'm going to take my scribble tool. I want to first separate them into rows. Show me on your arm what rows look like. Straight across, side to side. So I need to separate them side to side. I see these 2 bears. I'm going to make that imaginary line side to side, circle. That's a row. It is side to side. All right, next one, side, 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 side. There's a row. And my last one, side to side. All right, how many rows do I have? I have 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows. I have 3 rows. 3 rows of what? How many bears are in each row? 3 rows of 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I have 3 rows of 2. Now let's separate them into columns. Show me with your arm what columns look like. Up and down. Columns go up and down. All right. Here is my first column, up and down, and my second column. All right. My first column and my second. How many columns do I have? I have 1 and 2. 2 columns. 2 columns of what? How many bears are in each column? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 bears in each column. That means I have 2 columns of 3 bears. The wording gets a little bit trickier as we keep going. Just always remember, columns are up and down, rows are side to side. All right. Now it says create rows of 5. Show me what rows look like. I need rows of 5. So I'm going to click and drag. I need my first row of 5. Here's 1. And am I going to put it here or here? I'm thinking rows. Is it going to go side to side or up and down? Rows, side to side. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's first row of 5. And let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 1 row of 5, 2 rows of 5. Remember, rows side to side. Now I'm going to walk you through some problems you may see on your problem set. These are examples. They're not going to be exactly like your problem set, but pretty close to it. So read the directions very closely. It first says circle groups of 2. Then draw the circles into 3 equal rows. Rows go side to side. Let's first circle groups of 2. There's one group of 2, another group of 2, and another group of 2. It's okay if these groups kind of overlap. It's kind of tricky with technology trying to get those circles exactly the way we want them. As long as they're organized and I can tell exactly where your groups are, you're good to go. All right? I have 1 group of 2, 2 groups of 2, 3 groups of 2. And now it's asking me for 3 equal rows. How many circles do you think will be in each of my rows? 2. If I have 3 groups of 2, I need 3 rows of 2. All right? So I have 1 row of 2, 1, 2, 2 rows of 2, 3 rows of 2. And here's how to check if your work is correct. First, remember, does our total ever change? No, you're just moving them around. Your total will not change. They should be the same. So I have 6 over here. I should have 6 over here. Now check again. Are your rows side to side? Yep. And do I have the same amount of circles in each row as I do in each group? Yep, 2 in each row, 2 in each group. Let's keep going. Circle groups of 4. Then draw the hearts into rows and columns. This one is trickier because it's having you do rows and columns. All right, let's first circle groups of 4. I have 1 group of 4, 2 groups of 4. I have 2 groups of 4. So how many rows will I need? 2. And how many hearts do you think will be in each row? 4. If I have 2 groups of 4, I need 2 rows of 4. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 row of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 groups of 4, 2 rows of 4. Now let's do it into columns. If I have 2 groups, how many columns will I have? 2. If I have 4 in each group, how many am I going to have in each column? 4. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. First column is done. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 groups of 4, 2 columns of 4, 2 rows of 4. That's good. Next, this one says to draw the stars into draw the stars into columns of 2. Ooh, good thing I read that correctly. Draw the stars into columns of 2. This does not say 2 columns, it says columns of 2. So I need to make my array into columns of 2. Columns go side to side or up and down? Up and down. I need up and down columns of 2 hearts, 2 stars. Here's my first column of 2, 1, 2. Notice it's up and down. Columns go up and down and they need to have 2 in each column. All right, let's keep going. There's 1 column of 2, 2 columns of 2, 3 columns of 2, 1 column of 2, 2 columns of 2, 3 columns of 2. This does not say 2 columns, it says columns of 2. I'm going to challenge you. If I have columns of 2, how many columns do I have in this picture? Columns of 2. But how many columns do I have? Think up and down. Here's 1, 2, 3. 3 columns of 2. That one's a tricky one. All right, this one is asking to create a rectangular array with 10 squares into 2 rows of 5. I'm concerned only with the 2 rows of 5. 2 rows with 5 in each row. Okay, so I'm going to break it up into rows. I need 2 rows of 5, so let's create 1 row of 5 first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 1 row of 5. I need 2 rows of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 2 rows with 5 in each row. I'm going to challenge you again. How many columns do I have? If I have 2 rows of 5, 2 rows of 5, how many columns do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 columns and 2 rows. All right. I know we just learned a ton of information. You're going to be able to use all of that information you learned in your problem set. Again, that was a lot of new and tricky information with some new vocabulary too. If you have any questions, please reach out to your teacher. We are happy to help you. Your job now is to go back to your math section of Google Classroom, finish the worksheet next to the video, and make sure you submit. All right, make sure you click that turn in assignment button so you get your credit. All right, have a wonderful rest of your day, second grade. Bye.